What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So this video I was working on the finger and I was like, you know what, I know some of you have been asking, so let me just do a tutorial on how I draw the texture on the fingers. So as you can see, I've done majority of the fingers. I just have these two, right? And the third one in the back is like kind of out of focus. So this hand that I'm working on is one of the ones that are in focus. So it's, yeah, so that'll be fun to draw, you know. So I've already started. As you can see, I already worked on a little bit on the top, and then I already started putting down the tonal values. But so what you can see, I'm just going to explain what I did before I got to this point. So what I did was I used my Polychromos pencils, warm gray pencils. Those of you who don't know, I use Polychromos warm gray pencils from Faber-Castell. So it comes in 6 grades. There's warm gray 1 to warm gray 6. For this process, it doesn't really matter which one you use. I just use warm gray 4 just to get like the initial lines, and then I darken them with the warm gray 6, which is the darkest gray that comes in that set. And then for the darker lines, you can tell some of them are darker, like the really dark ones in the middle. Those ones I use a charcoal pencil. So the other lighter ones are the warm gray pencils, and the darker ones are the charcoal pencils, because in the reference that area is really dark. So yeah, so that's one tip. You know, wherever you see really dark lines in the fingers, like and most often you see the fingers right here, most often you see the cracks in the mid, like in the knuckles. Those are where the darkest lines are, right? So that is where you can see right here as well, the darkest lines are kind of in the joints where the fingers can bend, you know. So when you're practicing with the hands and fingers and stuff, you can take pictures of your own hand and then try and draw them, you know. That's a really good way to practice. So yeah, so right now this is where I got to. I was just building up the tonal values. I laid out like a first tone with my Jacquard gray charcoals. So those of you who don't know, I use Jacquard assorted gray charcoal sets, and I make them into a powder form, and then I use brushes to apply them. So yeah, I'm not gonna explain like the whole process of how I make them into powder, but basically I just use like a cutting knife to scrape the charcoal into like a container, and then I have some powder to work with. So I'm just gonna continue from where I left off. Now in the reference, I noticed this area is really dark. So what I like to do is I like to put in the really dark areas first. You know, just something I like to do. You don't have to, but that's just my working process. So I'm going to take some compressed charcoal, 6B from Generals, which I made into powder as well. Pick up some of that with my brush, and before any of you ask me what was the red brush you're using, I actually don't know. So it's just a simple paintbrush that I picked up from a local art store. It doesn't even have a name on it, so it's probably like it was a really cheap one. And I just cut off some of the bristles on the tip, so I can have like a more of a rigid feel to it, you know, because it was way too soft for my liking. So you know, the shorter the bristles, the more rigid they are, just like a broomstick, you know. So I can see there's some really dark areas right here, don't worry about going too dark. And that's if you watch one of my previous videos, people fear charcoal. You know, what if I go too dark? What if I do this? What if I do that? You know, obviously it's scary at the beginning, but once you have to be confident at the same time. That's how you're going to learn, right? You're not going to learn without making mistakes. So you know, just let your hand and your brush and your mind flow. And if you're nervous, you're going to see it in the drawing. If you're confident, you're going to see it. So I see that dark area right there. I see a little bit of dark areas right here, but I'm not going to do that right now. This area was like the darkest area, so I'm just going to leave that like that. Now I'll pick up my Jacquard charcoal that I made into powder, and then grab my makeup brush. So just pick up some of the powder with my makeup brush. With my makeup brush, and then we're gonna finish with the first. So this is just like an undercoat. You know, if someone was painting, you know how they do like first layer, second layers. That's what we're doing with that's what I like to do with the charcoal. So I'm going to go darker than this. Obviously you can see the difference in total value compared to this finger to this. So this is just like an undertone, just to give me a rough idea of how everything is going to look like. That's another thing with charcoal, you know, to prevent yourself from making mistakes, you can work in layers, and that helps you a lot. You know, it'll take more time because you're working in layers, but it's worth it. So if you're confident and you feel like, yeah, you can go straight dark ahead and achieve the total value you want, you know, that's fine as well. So I just like doing it this way. I've really gotten used to doing it this way. So yeah, so as you guys can see, this video is just like a real-time explanation video. I'm not gonna skip no time lapses, nothing, you know, so you guys can see exactly how long it takes me, exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna explain everything. So, and as well, if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments. Normally these videos I'll put them on my Patreon, but I was like, yeah, you know, the YouTube, I love my YouTube people as well. So for those of you who are not my Patreon, you don't have to, but if you want to go there, there will be a link in my description, and it's just another way of supporting me. You know, it's $3 a month or $5 a month if you want to have the reference pictures as well. But like I said, you don't have to if you can afford it. So also, another tip: when you guys are drawing, listen to calming music. You know, get yourself in that mood, right? Whatever drawing you're working on, whatever theme, you know, you're working on, you're trying to get into that mood, and it's gonna, I don't know how to explain it, but it just puts you more into like the drawing. You feel the drawing, you know. It's like a feeling that I can't explain. It's so if you're drawing something that's like requires a lot of energy, that you can see like the drawing is giving off a lot of energy, then you can play like rock music or whatever you guys like, you know. But most of my drawings are like moody and stuff, so I like playing that kind of calming, moody songs to get me to the mood, you know. But yeah, let's get back to topic. Let's not go off topic. Okay, so far you can see I'm not even bothered about where highlights are, blah blah blah, all that stuff. I'm just putting in like a base, even tone, you know, just like I said, just to give myself an understanding. All right, so we'll just leave this here. I'm gonna finish the under the bottom side later, so let's just do this for the tutorial. We'll just do like the upper side. All right, so now that we have this, right, now I look back to my reference and ask myself, okay, so now I still have my lines showing, which is good, because if they were fading out I would have to deepen that, but I think these are deep enough. I'm still missing some lines, but those ones I can bring them back after you put on the second tone. So all right, so now what I do is, looking at the reference, I can see some shadowy areas, but I'm going to put on the second layer first with the darkest gray of the jacquard, right? So those of you who have the jacquard, you can see, you know what I'm talking about, the darkest gray. I made that into powder as well, so I'm going to pick that up with my makeup brush. I nearly said paintbrush, but this is a makeup brush. It's a cheap one I found on Amazon, so again, I don't know the brand. You know, don't let people lie to you and tell you need expensive tools and stuff, you know. I mean, like, sometimes they help, but it's about how you apply them, you know. So you can see how darker this is, you know, how much darker this is. All of a sudden you can see we're getting there. So that's why I love the jacquard. It blends so well with each other, you know. You don't see these patchy blacks that you can get with normal compressed charcoals. It's really soft. So when you apply with a soft brush, you can tell it's really soft. Okay, so let's just keep going. Wherever you see highlights, don't worry, you know, especially in the fingers like this, so I know most of the highlights are really minimal. Like you can see in this finger, it almost looks like the whole thing is one tonal value, and then little highlights here and there that we're gonna add at the end. So right now, don't worry about the details, highlights. Remember, always focus on getting the tonal values right, and then everything else will fall in place. So let's just fill up this area. Always keep comparing to the reference. Make sure your tonal values are right. Make sure you're not light, you're not too light, you know, or too dark. If you're too dark, it's fine, you know, you can use a lighter version of the lighter grade of the jacquard over it, and then it's going to lighten up the place, the area which you're shading. So another benefit of using the graded charcoal powders, you know, the jacquard and stuff, you can adjust. It's like painting, it's like putting white over, you know. So you can see I don't want to press too hard because I don't go too dark right now, and I also don't want to lose most of my lines. Those are the lines, the cracks, the fingers and stuff. So don't worry about the charcoal spreading to the, you can always clean that up. If you want, you can shade in the direction of the lines. Nah, for me, I'm like, nah, I don't really mind, because I'll just draw in those lines later when I'm done. As you can see, the lines are already fading, right? But it's all good. It's all good. The most important lines are like the darkest ones, like the one in the knuckles and stuff. So slowly come into life. That's what we love to see, and just keep going. Remember, don't rush, you know. Enjoy the moment, embrace it, you know. I'm almost done with this drawing, as you can see, and sometimes I understand why some people do it, because it happens to me as well. Sometimes you want to rush and finish. See how now I lost track. There's some details right here that I know I have to do. I just saw them in the reference and I felt like doing them, but I have to do that later. So, because right now we are just focusing on the fingers. So I still need to work on the beard, but like all this, there's some details right here, little minute details. I'll do them probably after the fingers. So yeah, and then after that I'm done with, I'll just finish the background and then we're done. Okay, so we're getting there. Always compare to the reference. Remember, tonal values are way more important, you know. So I know some artists who get to this point and they'll be so excited to add in the details, they leave it like this, and after adding the details you realize it doesn't even look realistic, because at this point it's like 50% done. You know, it kind of looks good on the eye, and I've been there, you know, when I was back many years ago when I was a beginner as well. I would love rushing too, because I want to see the details, I want to see the end product. But then as time went on, I understood how much tonal values meant, and so for me those are where I'd rather spend most of my time, because it's 100% worth it. Okay. Right. So like I said, don't worry about the charcoal splitting out to the ends, to the outside of the sketch area or whatever. I'm gonna clean that up, because I'm gonna shade that finger as well, so it doesn't even matter, you know. Okay, let's get some more charcoal in there. Come down. All right, so now we have this, and it's looking decent, right? Decent. All right, so now we're gonna have to make things pop, and how do we do that? Wrong, not by highlights. That was wrong. That was the wrong answer. Those of you who said highlights, I need you guys to go down and give me 10 push-ups right now. And those of you who said tonal values, I owe you guys. So yeah, I know some of you said highlights, which is wrong. All right, so time to keep improving the tonal values. Look at where the shadows are. Look at where the midtones compared to the shadows. How dark are they? You know, how dark are the shadows compared to the midtones? So I'm still using the Jacquard charcoal, the darkest grade, and I'm using my harder brush, because the harder the brush, the darker you're going to go. So even though I use the same charcoal for the base, because I'm using a harder brush, notice how it can still go a little bit darker and give it that extra darkness, you know. So remember that the strength, or the strength of the bristles, the hardness, let me say it like that, the hardness of the bristles can determine how dark your charcoal is going to be, and how soft, you know. If you're using a softer softer brush, the shading is going to appear really soft and even. But if you're using a harder brush, it's going to be harder to make control, but it's going to be darker and give you those darker areas that you want. So yeah, it's about complementing each other. You know, let your brushes, let all of them feel loved, right? You use one of them, make sure you use the other one as well, because one of them is going to get jealous, and then, you know, yeah, let me stop waffling. So I'm going to move on to the General's compressed charcoal, because I need to go a little bit darker. But for now, let's just try and build as much as we can with the jacquard, and then okay. So now I like what I'm seeing so far. Gonna grab my stick, and now I can see some dark lines right here, so let's just do that like that. Then this right here. This is why you guys should, right now I'm using a bad light in the room, so you can see my shadow from my hand is kind of casting into the drawing, which I don't like, because sometimes it blocks your view. So I don't recommend using bad lighting in the shade, but we'll work with it. It's all good. Okay, so I'm just looking at the reference, making sure everything is a-okay. Some dark areas right here, so just gonna lightly shade in there, lightly with a charcoal pencil, not too much. Okay. Okay, now taking the General's charcoal, which is the 6B stick that I made into powder, so just gonna take that and then blend everything. Wherever they're darkest, so you know, there's, looking at the reference right here along this line, there's some really nice shadows right there. So using the brush to apply that, and you can see how now everything is just that little thing I did is starting to make everything look a little bit more 3D, right? Notice how we haven't even got into the details and everything. So when I tell you guys it's not about the details, you have to believe me. It's really not. Details help, but those are like last minute. So always work on your tonal values. I'm never going to stop preaching this, so I don't get if you guys are tired of me always talking about tonal values, get ready, it's gonna get worse, because I'm not gonna stop talking about it. It's really important. Okay, let's keep going. And now I'm kind of losing the darkness in my lines in the knuckles, so, or the joints. So grab my charcoal pencil again to bring those lines back. Also, I was losing a little bit of darkness right here. I really don't like how the light is casting the shadow, but I'm gonna have to work with it for now. Guys, bear with me. Sorry if the shadow is bothering you guys as well, but yeah, so a little bit more shadow right here. Nice. And let's bring those lines back. Don't press too hard, right? So it's not completely black. It's just, if you look at this, it's not like pitch black, right? So I don't want to press too hard. And this pencil I'm using is really dark, so I don't want to press too hard as well. Just let the pencil do its work. Okay. Yeah, right now I'm listening to two cellos. Well, not two cellos. I'm listening to Hausa from two cellos. So if you guys hear me humming, it's because I'm enjoying some good music. So far so good. I like that. See this in the reference. I can see there's a little one right here. There's another one down here like that. This one as well. And then this one. Those are like the darkest ones so far, and this one. So far that's it. Let's not get carried away and overdo it. So again, I just want some more shadows right here. Okay, let's go. Just blend everything with the paintbrush. Nice. Notice how everything is looking really nice now, right? Well, to me, everything's looking nice. So I love the tonal values right now. Everything looks immaculate so far. All right, so what do we do now? Let's see. Just fill in the background a little bit more. So from the reference, all this is covered, not all of it, but most of it. So that's the beard. I have a lot of beard, so everyone know that I have a lot of beard. All right, then we can just blend everything in. Alrighty, now you guys can see everything is looking good, right? Tonal value wise, let me just double check, make sure everything is good. Maybe that was a mistake, but let me see. I think I went too dark, a little bit too dark, so let's just bring that back. Yeah, see, I put a little bit of white powder on. See, like, this is the confidence I'm telling you guys. Like, don't be afraid. Now, I made a mistake there, right? But it's all good though. And then I can grab my charcoal pencil and then bring back those beard hairs that were dangling on top of the finger, right? So all this is random as well. I'm not looking at the reference to make sure everything is accurate. I don't want to create, it's not. So now, so before adding the highlights, I love the tonal value so far. So I'm going to grab my this pencil. It's in a pencil holder right now. That's the Faber-Castell Polychromos, the warm grade 6. This is the darkest grade. All right, so actually no, let's grab the warm grade 5 because I don't want to go too dark right now. Let's just grab the warm grade 5 first, and then we'll go from there. So this is the warm grade 5. All right, now let's see if that's going to be dark enough. Sometimes if it's not dark enough, it's not going to show. But that's what I like. I don't want it to show too much, because this is where if you overdo it, it's going to look fake. So the lines are not supposed to be too prominent, okay? The lines showing through the skin are not supposed to. It's really like, the only ones that are supposed to be prominent are the ones in the knuckles, as you can see. The other ones are kind of faded into the skin. So that's why I'm using the warm grade 5, because it's almost the same grade as the charcoal. As you can see, it's barely showing through, but that's what I want. So just looking at the reference, not making everything exactly how it looks, but at least just create some lines, judging with what you see in the reference. And then I can see there's some that are going up like this, that look parallel to the line, the grid lines. So I can see some more going like that. I think I'll have this, or I have to start using the warm grade 6 to get a little bit darker, right? So I got my slightly fainter lines. I don't want to go too dark now. Now I can grab the warm grade 6, and now notice how, oops, I just dropped my pencil, which is bad. That's not what we want to see. Hopefully the pencil didn't break. All right. So now, grab my stick, press my hands, and now you can see how the warm grade 6, everything is starting to show. So I can see there's some lines that go like this. There's some lines that go like this again. There's another one like that. There's one like this. right, so you guys can see now the lines are starting to come in. Everything is starting to look more 3D, right? Okay, I can see some lines right here. There's another one right here. And I'm not trying to replicate exactly what I'm seeing. I'm trying to do it as close as I can though. So. Some lines right here. Okay, so far so good. So you can see some crossing up like that. You can barely see them, but I think that's a good thing. We're just going to trust the process at this point, you know. Just trust. I trust that my experience is going to show up through to this. All right, so far I like it. Now just get into the little lines, bring back some of those as well. It's a bit of these ones. That was too dark, but it's all good. Okay. Oh, nice. No. Now I'm pressing really hard because I want to bring out some of these shadows around here. So I always add the highlights last because I feel like those are what makes the details pop, like, you know. But the tonal values are the important thing. So I don't know how many times I've said tonal values, but yeah. All right, so far this is looking really good. All right. Damn. Okay, now I know most of you are waiting for the highlights. That's what I know. That's what most of you like. But before we do that, let's just reinforce some of the dark areas again. Sometimes they get lost when you're blending, smudging. You know. Okay, highlights time. Alright. So for the highlights, what I'm going to do is grab my electric eraser, which, yes, my electric eraser. Make it to a point. Alright, and now just look at where the highlights are. You know, that's why the highlights in the fingers are not much in terms of like they're not broad white lines. Most of them are little dots, stuff here and there. So look at where the placement of the highlights. So from what I can see, most of them are underneath the lines. So that's what I'm going to do. Just little dots here and there. Okay. You can see one right here. Put that there. Put two more right here underneath this. Also, let me just brighten these highlights a little bit more. Okay. So far, so good. Little dots here and there. Alright. So from what I can see, the dots are not as much as they were on this finger, but it's a little bit here and there. It's just random, right? You can see one like right here. You can see some highlights here, here. Okay. Okay, I can see a little bit right underneath this, little dots like that. Alright, I think that's enough. I don't overdo it, but you know, this is where the edge of wanting to over detail comes in, but you have to fight it. So alright, I think I went too bright, so I'm just going to tone this down a little bit. 9. Okay, now got my needed eraser and then clean up the edges. This is not important, but I just like to have a clean looking shade, you know. Even though I'm going to shade all this area, just like I want it to look clean and sharp. All right. Now I'm going to grab my Alright guys, sorry, my camera died, so and it was late, so I had to go to sleep while I charged the camera. But actually I don't know if you can hear from my voice, but I just woke up, so but yeah, let's just finish this. We don't have much left, so yeah, before the camera, when the camera died, I was actually working on a little bit of some highlights right here. I don't know if you can see, but what I was explaining and before I realized the camera died was that you can use the polychromos pencil, like the warm gray 2 or warm gray 1, like the really light grades, over the dark areas, and it will show some kind of like highlight. So that's what I was doing, like right here, right? So let me try and move this. So I don't know if you guys can see, but and sometimes this can be like too sharp, right? So I don't really like using this, but it's just something you can use. So normally I like using the Faber-Castell pencil eraser, you know, just for like, because I can see there's some highlights in there, you know. Just this is where you just play with it. You don't for the highlights, I don't really mind accuracy like that, you know, because when it comes to these white dots, you can, if you want to place every single dot exactly what you see in the reference, you're going to be here forever. So I don't really have the time and the energy for that. It's just how I get in the right brightness and everything. So I can see there's some highlights right here. This is just like a scribble I'm doing. I'm not putting any pressure on the paper, just like scribbling on the surface of the, because I don't take too much of. These highlights are really subtle, so just dab and scribble away. You know, where you see the highlights look like something like this, like right here, I just dab and then scribble on top of it just to give it that like random look, you know. So sometimes the tip of your pencil eraser might get black. Just clean it off on a clean surface, and then yeah, you can go again. So you can use a kneaded eraser for this as well, just no, just for time. This, I feel like this eraser saves more time because I don't need to keep like making a point every time like I have with the kneaded eraser. So for example, the kneaded eraser, I can just come in like this, and then, you know, just subtle lines. Nothing too prominent, you know, it doesn't have to. Yeah, so back to the pencil eraser. I can just come in here like that, just dab. Some highlights right here, so yeah, you guys can see it's starting to look, you know, look much better than to look more realistic, you know. So I think maybe I have to add a little bit more white dots here and there. And now maybe come in here like this. Just tap some of that charcoal away, nothing too much. I feel like I went too much there. It's all good, we can just fill that back in a bit. So it's just about playing with it at this point, you know, just have fun with it. Yeah. Hands were really scary for me to draw. when I started drawing hands like a few years ago, because that was like, and I feel like that's the same for most artists, like hands are something we struggle to draw, but when I started practicing it, I was like, wow, it's actually really interesting, you know? And I started loving, I loved how I'm drawing hands, you know. Just something different about it, like, because you draw faces all the time, you know, so sometimes you get a little bit bored of. So maybe I can grab my Tombow, just do the same dab, 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 dab. Dab, 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 dab. So yeah, this is looking good. Maybe a few more in there, here and there, you know, just random. Yeah, so for me, like this is you see how the highlights are kind of important, but like they are not the be all of when it comes to realism, you know, because if you guys could tell, after I added the tonal bodies, it already started looking realistic. The highlights are just like a bonus, so well, the highlights are needed to give that extra pop, but sometimes people focus way too much on details and they overdo it, and then, you know, it just becomes. I've been a victim of that, you know. I used to do that as well, but this wouldn't be a Jeffrey Apietu video without me talking about tonal bodies with it. Right. Yeah, so yeah, this is, I'm gonna leave it here. It looks good to me, you know. Maybe probably just do some retouching here and there as I go. So far so good. Yeah, so this is it, guys. This is just the process of how I draw the textures on the hand. You can see it's simple. It's not like it's not anything too complicated, right? And once you practice it, like everything starts coming to you naturally. So yeah, it's gonna become like muscle memory where you like you start doing it. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, normally these ones go on the Patreon, so but yeah, I just wanted to do something for YouTube guys, because you guys have been some of my biggest supporters as well. So, and I know the Patreon guys are also from the YouTube, most of them. But in case any of you wanna support me on my Patreon, or even buy some prints, I'm still working on my website. My website is down right now, so you can contact me through my website, but you can definitely email me in case like you want a print. Maybe you want a print of this drawing when I'm done. I'll try and make like a few prints, maybe 5 or something, I don't know. Limited edition prints, so in case you want one of them, want to support me as well, just send me an email. All right, I'll leave the email in the description, so just let me know. And yeah, see, I'm never satisfied. I want to end the video, but I just want to continue going. But you have to end the video, so I'll see you guys in the next one. All right guys, so here's just a little update at the end of the video. Just let's show you guys what I've done so far. There's about 2 hours or an hour, something like that, between when I ended the video. So yeah, you can see I'm just finishing up the tones, the tonal values, and then I'm going to add the details and the highlights, and then I'm going to do the last finger, then finish up the background, and then we're done. So yeah, all right, see you guys, peace.